Welcome to Military Veterans Podcast YouTube channel, where we talk to veterans to learn about their stories and experiences. My name is Gavin. I'm the host of this podcast and also of this channel, I guess, on YouTube. If you're new here, please give it a subscribe. Really important and really does help the show. I'm aiming for 1,000 subscribers. That is the mark I'm aiming for. And with your help, it would be greatly appreciated. So this is going up on the 1 year anniversary of the show, which is October of 2021. And it's been an amazing journey so far. And thanks to all the veterans that have come on the show and shared their time within the military, and before and after as well. You know, that's just as important. So what I've done is I've taken a little snippet of each episode, a little montage, as you might say. And I hope you enjoy it. And if you do enjoy any particular one, go find their video and have a watch of their episode. And if you enjoy it, please like. That really does help. And share as well. I know YouTubers ask that, but it does help. And lastly, episode 12, I actually chose to split the video into 2 parts. Hopefully that helps you watch and digest each episode. And, I know they can be long, but that is on purpose to give the veteran a chance to share everything that they want to. But enjoy this, take care, look after yourself, and here's to the next year. As I qualified in the top 3 of the UK team, I actually went forward into the team round. So the top 3 of each country kind of amalgamated and became the team for the country, if that makes sense. And so me and 2 other team members, who, by the way, I'm hoping to actually get on this podcast if they're willing to share, and that would be cool to talk about. But anyway, we went forward. This is something we practiced, and so we knew what we wanted to do and the kind of routine that we had in mind. So in the semi-finals, we had the Australians and we beat them. We beat them 6-0, which was pretty cool. And then we went on to the finals, and the finals was against the Netherlands, and we beat them 6-0 as well. And that was right. I walked away with a gold medal.
We played the Australians first, which is always good fun. And nervous to begin with, but then when we settled down into our routines and we won that. Then we played France, and that was probably my best game. And I did a pass to my mate G that was Adi Obertan, who's the guy did the videos on TV, black guy with dreadlocks, and he does all the tricks in his chair. Cracking basketball player. Well, he came and helped coach us and stuff. Well, he was doing the commentary on the BBC, and his words were, "What a pass! What a pass!" And G came in and it was as close to doing an alley-oop as you can in wheelchair basketball. It was brilliant. So we beat France. A dirty game that was. It was.
Yeah.
And we'd set up certain targets all over abandoned cars and oil drums and all sorts of things. And we were on a mound, which is quite high, and we were sort of overlooking the whole sort of range to make sure that we were part of the safety team. And as we were standing there, the Lynx helicopters came with their blades level to where we were standing, within meters away from where we were standing. We saw these 2 helicopters just slide through the small valley and then turn with their noses towards each other. And the snipers, obviously giving the snipers range to shoot forward and hit their targets as they were training. That was, again, something out of this world. And we were doing that in the daytime and at the night. And then the ground forces that were there with us were shooting the MGM.
Leaving the army was wrenching because you sort of amble out. I was surprised. I went to the pay office. I'm leaving the army soon. Should you not be telling me that I need to do things? Well, sir, we've got nothing written down. So, and that was, it was weird.
Yeah.
And I'd seen other people leave, of course, over my career.
Yeah.
And I knew I'd have to have final medical, so I went to the med centre. And there was a young Remy craftsman, so the private's obviously the lowest rank in the army. Remy lad, he said, "Officer," he says, "what are you for?" I said, "I'm for my final medical." "Oh, you posted?" As in going to another unit. I went, "No, I'm leaving the army." He went, "Wow, that's ages away."
My 2 sections of the 9 Squadron troop were flown into Musakala to help PF out Pathfinders because they were trapped in there, just to try and build some field forts and some sangers, just to make the compound a bit more secure. And I think we were meant to be there a couple of days, ended up being there nearly a month.
Right.
But I refer back to the best and worst experiences of my life. It was just mad. It's just people shooting at you, you're shooting back. It's conventional warfighting at the end of the day. Crazy. But again, this is what you've been trained to do. I remember the first time I ever got shot at, it was like, and you literally, your training kicks in straight away and you return fire and you do what you've been taught to do. You're looking after the bloke next to you, your left and your right, and you are working together as a team. It was just mad. Yeah. It's exhilarating. It's just, again, the adrenaline.
And all of our patrols then moved into an area called the Turf Lodge, which was heavily IRA orientated and stuff like that. So, so that the rest of that tour was just absolute bedlam, absolutely crazy, massive riots. So I've actually got a picture of me after one of the riots where I've climbed into the back of a snatch Land Rover, just shut the back doors, and one of the guys have taken the picture of us, and it's me fast asleep, just cradling my rifle because I was knackered.
Yeah.
The riots were an eye opener, but yeah, I have to admit I enjoyed it when the riots proper kicked off and you got to get in and actually just getting amongst it. I really enjoyed them.
Former Republic of Yugoslavia, and I was based in Sarajevo for that. So I was in the heart of I was at the HQ, again as a driver, and my role there was as a ration driver. That was a nightmare. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've heard some horrific stories from Yugoslavia, but mine not horrific. But I had to drive down Sniper Alley pretty much every day. To deliver gas bottles and rations to Ice Station Zetra, which was the old Olympic Stadium where, remember Torvill and Dean?
All right.
That's where they won their 88 World Olympic medal or something.
Okay.
But that was turned into an army. The actual arena, Olympic arena, was used by the British military.
Yeah. Taught me how to do archery, and what I do is on my string I have like a bit of D-loop where the arrow would attach, and then on that D-loop itself is a piece of cloth, and that cloth would then go in my mouth, and I'd use that as the pulling force rather than my fingers to pull the bow. So I'd bite down on the cloth and then push away with a recurve bow, allowing me to stretch the bowstring and stretch the bow itself, and then just release with my mouth, allowing the arrow to fly into the target. Initially, when I started it, I had to test left and right mouth, and how am I going to do it? Which eye am I going to use? Left eye, right eye.
It's going to be that silly Brit. So when you're in your training aspect, do you guys actually run around in a little group and do press ups and stuff with the 1, 2, 3, 4? I love the Marine Corps, that kind of stuff.
Actually, that's exactly or we do this is what you ask for when you're counting. So we call it the Marine Corps count. Is like every push up is actually, it's more than one because you're 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1.
Okay.
So then it's 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, when we're in boot camp, and again, like this is a Marine Corps experience. Every branch is a little different. So you're there for 3 months. There, at least when I went, I don't know, maybe it is different now, but there's no cell phones. You actually write letters.
The battalion then got posted in 1979 to Berlin.
Okay.
And we were sent to Wavell Barracks in Berlin, or West Berlin. I have to remember, you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But in those days, Berlin was sealed off. So you had East and West Berlin, East and West Germany. West Berlin was completely surrounded by East Germany. So essentially, you had this little island called West Berlin, surrounded by East German troops, Russian troops,
Right.
in East Germany, and you had to get there by corridors. So there was an air corridor,
Okay.
a train corridor, and a single road.
Hot in Baghdad, and I was getting ready to go in my office, and there was we were right on the edge of the green zone. So the red zones, literally the only thing separating us from the red zone are these T barriers, these tall concrete T barriers. And I'm going into my office, and this explosion goes off outside in the red zone, and it was probably 4 blocks away, but it was a big blast. I mean, it shook everything, and it sucked the air right out of the room. You know, I mean, it just pulled the air. So it was just like, whoa. And my chief, his eyes are as big as dinner saucers, and he's like, should we go see what it is? And I'm like, yeah. So we grabbed our gear, and we went up to the top of the building. I don't know why we were thinking that this was a good idea. But I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a picture of this. I mean, if I'm here, I'm going to see something. And we go up to the top, and I'm looking out towards where the smoke was. And then I start hearing the snap of bullets go overhead.
I'm starting to descend, and I'm bringing the aircraft down towards a lower point towards the ground and a safe level. As I'm descending, the fire picks up within the cockpit, and I get to about 500 feet indicated, and the fire's about halfway up within the height of the cockpit. Started to get pretty toasty in there, and there was a lot of anxiety going on in my mind. And suddenly I had a light bulb moment, and I guess it harks back to perhaps all the training in life, whatever. It just came to me, and I realised that in order to survive this, because I couldn't stomach the idea of burning for too much longer, because effectively I was burning from the feet and ankles upwards where the fire initially breached. So I realised that in order to stand a chance of survival, I needed to get out of that cockpit, like quick, sharp, and as hastily as I possibly could manage.
As you say, it's not so much the nightmares, not so much that whole underlying feeling of unworthiness. There's a large element of survivor guilt in there too. It was the flashbacks. I think those are the worst.
Yeah.
There's that whole feeling of that whole living your day-to-day life as not achieving what you should achieve, achieving your potential. You're unworthy. You're not getting jobs because you're unworthy. This whole beat yourself up thing, and but I got through it, I think, and then, like you say, then from nowhere a flashback will come, and it's funny what triggers them, those little flashbacks.
We went to West Belfast, so North Howard Street Mill, Fort White Rock, and Gilwood Park. Gilwood Park was known as Slipper City because they had it easier than the other two companies, but I wouldn't say that they had it easy. In retrospect. In fact, it was quite a bad time. We lost a couple of guys during the tour, one within the first week, and another one around about May time. But there was other guys that had been shot and what have you. And it was quite... I remember reading somewhere that at that time it was the height of the Troubles, and during the time that we were there, they'd had more incidents in that time, that 6 months that we did our tour, than they had done at any other previous time.
Really?
Throughout the history of the Troubles.
This is why I said okay so many times, is because I stayed at camp Thumb Rate, which was a an Oman Air Force Base.
Yeah.
And that's why I think potentially we may have crossed paths.
We set up the original tent city that was there. There was no tent city, and we rolled in. We, trenched it all out. We put in our electrical. We set up all the tents. We set up a chow hall, and then everybody in my little deployed unit was like, the faster we can do this, the faster we can go home. But that was so dumb to think that, because the faster that we did it meant that we could go on to the next place, which is what we did. Everyone was so excited. Oh, we're going home. We're going home. We're all done. We finished. And then Master Sergeant Cade, who was we didn't have an officer with us, so he was in charge. And he said, hey, guess what? We're going to Pakistan.
In that instant, a huge, incredible, violent, explosion that just erupts around you, that you've got that shockwave is traveling through your body in that split second, and that moment of realization, and then black. And then when you open your eyes, then, if you're lucky enough to open your eyes, it's your senses are all dulled down, so your ears are ringing, and it's not sort of like what people think. It's like a high-pitched sort of squeal in your ears as they're trying to recover from the trauma of that sort of blast. So you can't hear anything. The dust in Afghanistan is like a real fine powder. So, when there's an explosion, it causes this massive cloud. So the inside of the vehicle was filled in this dust. It was in your nose. It's in your lungs. You're coughing it up. It's in your mouth. So you've got this veil pulled down over you, so you can't hear and you can't see.